Joshua had led the people of Israel across the Jordan River, and now he faced his first obstacle, Jericho. It was a large city with a wall around it, and in this story we will see how Joshua, through obedience to God, conquered Jericho. Now Joshua, the son of Nun, sent out 2 men secretly from Shittim, saying, "Go and spy out the land, especially the city of Jericho." So they went, and they entered Jericho, and came into the house of a harlot, whose name was Rahab, and stayed there. But the king of Jericho found out, and he sent word to Rahab, saying, "Bring out the men who have entered your house, for they are spies." But Rahab had taken the 2 men and hidden them in the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order on the roof. And she said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I didn't know who they were, and when it was time to shut the gate at dark, they went out. I don't know where they went. Chase them quickly, maybe you'll overtake them." So the men pursued them on the road to the Jordan, and they shut the gate of the city. Now before the spies laid down, Rahab came up to them on the roof and said to them, "I know that the Lord has given you the land, and all of us are afraid. We heard how the Lord parted the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and how you destroyed the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan. Our hearts have melted, and there is no courage in any man any longer because of you. For the Lord your God, He is the God in heaven above and on earth beneath. Now therefore, please swear to me by the Lord, since I have been kind to you, that you will be kind to my family, and make me a promise to spare my father and my mother and my brothers and my sisters and all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death." So the spies said to her, "Our life for yours. If you do not tell this business of ours, then when the Lord gives us the land, we will deal kindly and faithfully with you." Then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall. That is where she lived. And she said to them, "Go to the hill country and hide yourselves there for 3 days until they stop looking for you. Then afterwards you may go on your way." So they said to her, "We shall be free of this oath to you, unless when we come into the land, you tie this cord of scarlet thread in the window through which you let us down, and get everyone in your family into the house. If anyone goes out of the house, his blood shall be on his own head." She said, "So be it," and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. So the spies departed, and they came to the hill country, and remained there for 3 days until the pursuers returned. Then the 2 men returned and came to Joshua, the son of Nun, and told him all that had happened to them. Now Jericho was tightly shut because of the sons of Israel. No one went out, and no one came in. The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and its valiant warriors." So Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests carry 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord." Then he said to the army, "Go forward and march around the city, and let the armed men go on before the ark of the Lord, and the rear guard come after the ark." And it was so. The armed men went before the priests who blew the trumpets, and the 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Lord went forward and blew the trumpets, and the rear guard came after the ark, and they continued to blow the trumpets. But the people were told, "You shall not shout, nor let your voice be heard, nor let a word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I tell you, 'Shout,' and then you shall shout." So he had the ark of the Lord taken around the city, circling it once. Then they came into the camp and spent the night in the camp. Then on the second day Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew the trumpets. And the armed men went before them, and the rear guard came after the ark of the Lord, while they continued to blow the trumpets. And they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. Then on the 7th day they rose early at the dawning of the day and marched around the city in the same manner. Only on that day they marched around the city 7 times. At the 7th time, when the priest blew the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." So the people shouted, and the priests blew the trumpets. And when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout, and the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight ahead, and they took the city and utterly destroyed everything in the city except for Rahab and her family. And Joshua said to the 2 men who had spied out the land, "Go into the harlot's house and bring the woman and all she has out of there, as you have sworn to her." So the young men who were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brothers and all her relatives and all that she had, and placed them outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the city with fire and all that was in it. Only the silver and the gold and articles of bronze and iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. However, Rahab the harlot and her father's household and all she had Joshua spared, and she lived in the midst of Israel, for she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Then Joshua made them take an oath at that time, saying, "Cursed before the Lord is the man who rises up and builds this city Jericho. With the loss of his firstborn he shall lay its foundation, and with the loss of his youngest son he shall set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was in all the land. Now, you know, there are many problems that we face in life, but often if we just remain silent and wait for God, He will knock those problems down so that we can have victory over them.